Sometimes staring at screens all day can make your eyes feel like they are actually on fire. And let's face it, in today's world, a lot of what we do requires staring at a screen, which is already horrible for your eyes. I actually went to the eye doctor recently and he was like, Wow, I didn't think it was possible, but your vision has gotten worse." Rude, but true. So, of course, he started asking me all the normal questions about headaches and screen time, like I'm a toddler whose parents don't monitor how many episodes of Bluey they consume. And I'm explaining my daily life, lesson planning, entering grades, researching cases, recording episodes, editing episodes, dog videos, more dog videos. And he's like, Yeah, you need a new prescription and you should probably invest in some blue light blocker glasses." Now, since I am a contact lens girly and always have been, I did not want to pay the extra price for blue light glasses that I would never wear. So I did what we all do. I went to Amazon and that's where I found Any Love blue light glasses, which have really helped me on my not wanting my eyes to feel like they're on fire journey. In fact, I'm wearing them right now. So if your eyeballs are also filing a formal complaint and possibly your eye doctor too, head to my link in the show notes and grab yourself some Any Love glasses. They have tons of different styles for men and women. They're honestly super cute and they even come with a nice little case. Save your eyes some stress and go grab a pair, or two, or five, because your eyeballs deserve it. Hello, everybody, and welcome back. This is Suspects and Spirits, and I'm your host, Taylor Seraphin. And it's Friday. Thank freaking God. I really love Fridays. I mean, who doesn't love Fridays? I like to come home and take off my bra and stuff my face when I get home. And you know what? I earned that. I earned that shit. I mean, did someone poop their pants at your job this week? I certainly hope not, unless you work in a preschool or maybe an old folks home or you're like a butt doctor. Usually that doesn't happen at work unless you're in those environments. But you know what? It happens in mine. So thank God it's the weekend. Oh, you guys, speaking of butt doctors, my youngest, we were recently talking about what she wants to be when she grows up. And I was like, "You don't want to be a volcanologist anymore?" Because, fun fact, she wanted to be a volcanologist. I know, women in STEM, we love it. But she was like, "No, not anymore. I want to be a butt doctor." Like, what? And she was dead ass serious, or at least she looked it. And guys, she said it with a straight face. She doesn't actually want to be a butt doctor, but she was shocked to learn that that's an actual profession. And now it's like a joke of hers. She tells people she wants to be a butt doctor. So that's fun. But I was like, yeah, they're doctors for everything, pretty much. So who knows? Maybe one day she'll do your colonoscopy. Wow. This got to a weird place very quickly. What did you guys want to be when you grew up? I wanted to be a marine biologist and a rock star slash actor. So obviously, that's why I became a teacher. I mean, clearly. I think I've said it on here before, though, that I went to school to be a psychiatric physician's assistant, but I couldn't, it was too depressing. Too depressing. I should have just, worked at SeaWorld or something. There's marine life there and acting, occasional singing. It's the whole package, but SeaWorld is also sort of depressing. So I guess not. Am I sick? Oh, sorry. That is Lawrence. Did you guys hear that? I'm joined by Lawrence today. I decided to get the GhostTube out and see if Lawrence had anything to say since he enjoys turning things on and off while I'm recording. He said, "Am I sick?" No, that was rude, Lawrence. I'm not sick. My voice just sounds like this. Okay. You want to stay. You don't have to leave. You're here anyways. You can stay. It's fine. Anyways, yeah, SeaWorld would have also been depressing. So I chose a profession that our president thinks can be done by a robot. Did you guys see that? That press conference that the lady orange and the robot? This was like weeks or a month ago, maybe. I really don't know. Time has been on like hyperspeed lately. But our first lady really said that this robot has unlimited patience and can handle teaching your kids. Cursed is right. Thank you, Lawrence. That's so rude of them. Like cursed. What is happening? Shirley thinks this could handle teaching kids. Like, does it? have unlimited warranties along with that unlimited patience because these kids don't respect pencils and name tags. They be throwing chairs. Like, is the robot insured? Also, robot hugs? That's weird. That's not an Olaf hug. I'm sorry. That's a cold, hard machine. How the fuck is it going to comfort a child who has zero prefrontal cortex development? Obviously, the robot doesn't have a prefrontal cortex either. What happens when Tommy is told no and he throws a chair at the robot and he breaks it? Like, I may not have unlimited patience because I'm human, but I can dodge a chair. And you know what? A lot of the time, they don't end up getting thrown because I can de escalate an angry kid. And you know why? 'Cause I'm human. That's why, and I can relate to them. Because I too might bite you if you come at me wrong. I get them. I get it. I don't like being told what to do either. And that robot, it's gonna be like, "Look closely." No, thank you. I know you're inside it. Wait, we're talking about the room, right? What are you inside of? Alright, Lawrence, hold on. Just let me get through this. Anyways, robots, I don't think that they could comfort a child. Like, it's gonna be like, "Tommy, I can see that you are upset. How would you like to proceed?" And the kid's gonna be like, "What does proceed mean?" And they're gonna get angry because they don't know. And it's just a recipe for disaster. They really think they can just plop a robo teacher in the classroom. How will it comfort kids in a lockdown? Or like keep them in check when they're creating soap castles in the bathroom instead of just washing their hands in the bathroom? They play in there. They just party in the bathroom all day. They be getting down in there. So, yeah, many questions about robot teachers, but as of right now, I still have a job. Soldier, thank you. I am a soldier. Anywho, I just had some dinner and my favorite ice cream, and I'm all cuddled up with a blanket, ready to give you all some nightmares. Not with robots, but with legends. The urban kind, urban legends. Sinful is right. That is right. These are some sinful stories. And honestly, I really don't know how this is gonna go with Lawrence interrupting every few minutes, but I figured I'd try it out. Okay. If we don't like it, I'll I'll get rid of it next time. Okay. We won't use him next paranormal episode. But for now he's here. Uh yeah, I am recording. Did you guys hear that? Said, are you recording? I am recording. I have to continue now, okay? I'm gonna keep talking. So, I'm going to be talking to you guys today about urban legends. And who doesn't love a spooky urban legend? We're going to set the scene. Here we go. Picture it. You're home alone. Not the fun kind of home alone, though. Not like the blast music, eat snacks, walk around naked, living your best life alone. This kind of alone is where the silence feels heavy, the kind where the house almost feels like it's holding its breath. You start noticing things that you normally wouldn't: the hum of the fridge, the faint creak of the floorboards, the way the air feels just a little too still. And then you hear it: knock, knock, knock. It's not loud and it's not urgent. It's more calm and deliberate. So you freeze because something in your gut is already telling you you should not open that door. Buckle up, Gulag. Brandon? Who's Brandon? Who's Brandon, Lawrence? Is that your real name? Did you just tell me your name? I know I named you Lawrence just because of her for shits and giggles, but is your real name Brandon? Let me know. She's not here. Close water. She's not here. Who? Sorry, he's being like really talkative today. I've used this before, but imagine I come and go. Okay, well, I know you come and go, but I'm recording. Why do you choose to be the most talkative when I'm recording? I don't know who he's talking about. She's not here. Are there two of you? Okay, I'm gonna move on from that. All right. Anyways, buckle up, Gooligans. Tonight's episode isn't just about urban legends. It's about the ones that feel like warnings, the ones that don't just tell a story, they give you rules. And not following them could have some dire consequences. These are 4 stories from different parts of the world, but all with the same underlying message: you're safer if you don't engage. So tonight, don't answer, don't respond, and don't follow. Unless it's this podcast, then go follow and subscribe. But whatever you do, don't let these things know that you're awake or aware. Now, let's begin with legend number 1. There's something deeply unsettling about a knock, because a knock means someone or something is on the other side of a barrier. a door, a wall, a window, and they want in. But the 3 knocks are different because they're not asking, they're testing. Across cultures, the number 3 has always carried weight. In Christianity, it represents the Holy Trinity. In folklore, repeating something 3 times gives it power. Think, Bloody Mary. And in paranormal belief, it's often associated with mockery, a twisting of something that's sacred. And that's why in some traditions, 3 unexplained knocks are seen as a death omen, a warning, or an imitation of something holy. There's also a belief that shows up again and again in paranormal accounts. Some entities can't enter unless they're invited, while some don't need to be invited necessarily, just acknowledged. A word, a response, anything that confirms you know it's there. And the 3 knocks urban legend is what makes this idea so chilling. So I came across this urban legend on a Reddit post from someone recently who experienced the 3 knocks. And it starts exactly how you'd expect. They wrote, quote, "I live alone in a townhouse. Nothing weird has ever happened here before. But a few nights ago, around 3 a.m., I woke up to 3 knocks on my front door. It wasn't loud and it didn't sound urgent. I remember thinking it was really strange that someone would knock like that in the middle of the night without saying anything. I checked my phone, no missed calls, no texts. I checked my Ring camera. There was no one there. So I went downstairs and looked through the peephole. Again, nobody. I even opened the door for a second. The hallway was completely empty. No footsteps, no doors closing, no sign of anyone. I locked the door again and went back upstairs. That should have been the end of it, but it wasn't. About 10 minutes later, I heard the same 3 knocks again, but this time it wasn't coming from the front door. It was coming from downstairs, inside my house. At this point, I was terrified. Did someone get into my house? All my doors had been locked before bed. And if someone was inside, why would they keep knocking? Why not just do what they came here to do? The thought of that scared me even more. So I called the police. I sounded like a Looney Tune explaining what was going on, but the dispatcher promised to send an officer to check it out and made me stay on the line with her until they arrived, just in case there was an intruder. I'd like to mention that I do not have any pets, but now I think I may get a dog, a big one, because when the officer and his partner arrived, they swept the entire townhouse, every nook and cranny, but there was no one. They told me to get some sleep, and it may have just been in my head, or maybe I dreamt it. I did not dream it. I know what I heard. And right as they were walking out the door, it happened again. Knock, knock, knock. Slow, calm, coming from inside my hall closet. The officer stopped and turned around. They heard that one. They asked about pets or devices that would cause that noise, and I said I had nothing of the sort and told them to please help me. The partner, a female officer, looked at me and said, quote, "Do you believe in the 3 knocks?" End quote. I didn't know what that meant, so I said, no. She then told me she couldn't explain it, otherwise it might make it worse. She whispers this to me at this point, but she told me whatever I do to just ignore it, do not give it any more attention, and that they would post up outside the townhouse for the remainder of the morning until sunrise. Remember, this was around 3 a.m. I was so confused, but I thanked them and they went out to their patrol car. And of course, I couldn't go straight to bed, so I sat on my couch and turned on the TV. But the knocking was relentless. It was every hour or so until around 7 a.m., but I never so much as said hello or asked who was there. Since that night, it hasn't happened again, and I went to work, where I could barely keep my eyes open. That's where a coworker saw how tired I was and asked if I was okay. I told them what happened, not about the 3 knocks legend, but that I was spooked enough to call the police. And they said, quote, "If you have sage, I'd light it. And if not, grab some on your way home." End quote. This coworker told me that it sounds like it's mocking me or looking for a loophole to enter my home. Since then, I've kept the sage with me at all times, and I will not acknowledge any knocks. Has anyone else heard of this legend? I am terrified now of living alone. Ugh. So when I came across that Reddit post, I was like, yeah, that's terrifying. Obviously, on Reddit, you don't know if people are just like making things up or whatever. But I looked into it a little further and I was like, oh, this is an actual like thing that happens to people. And I started thinking about it, and I thought back to that Booze Clues episode I did. I think it was last month, actually. I had somebody write in and tell me about the Ouija board session with their friends. And it was a sleepover, and then the sister was acting weird, and her eyes had turned black. Remember that? And then it was the knock on the door, and she thought it was her dad, but it was very slow knocks, very slow. And she was like, "No, that's not my dad." He'll be like, "Knock, knock, everything okay in there?" I remember her saying that it was like a very typical dad knock. So it was not her dad knocking, but it was very slow. And they ended up seeing footprints outside the next morning. Oh, so creepy. So creepy. Yeah, I don't like shit like that. I had and still have full body chills just reading that story. And I read it before, in order to put it into this episode when I was doing my research. I don't even like answering the door for the solar panel people. Why would I acknowledge that shit in the first place? Unless you're a Girl Scout, don't knock on my door. Okay. You got Thin Mints, I'll take 4 boxes. Otherwise, go away. Like, that's just a no. No. My parents taught me stranger danger growing up. I think a lot of us millennials don't answer the door. I don't like surprise knocking. I don't like that. That's why I have a Ring camera. So I can be like, do I want to answer this? I hate that it came from inside her house twice. Well, I guess more than twice because she said it continued all night. Just absolutely no. Immediately no. Another person on Reddit actually responded to that story saying they knew the legend and described hearing the same pattern, the 3 slow knocks, but not on a door. It was on their bedroom wall right next to their head, which I think I hate even more. And like I said at the top, these legends I'm talking about today, they have rules. So let's talk about the rules for the 3 knocks. If you hear it, the rule is very simple. You do not answer. You don't speak. You don't ask who's there because whatever is knocking isn't trying to get in the way you think. And that's the part that really gets me. Not that something is outside wanting to come in, but that it's waiting patiently. Like it already knows that eventually someone will answer. It's just testing you. Sort of like the black-eyed kids, right? You have to invite it in. One thing about me, you will not catch me inviting anyone into my space, so that's good, unless it's for a very special occasion that I'm hosting. But even then, the guest list it's vetted. So yeah, you're not welcome in my space if you might bring disgrace. That's a new saying. I just came up with it. And by disgrace, I mean bad vibes. Get out. So great saying. You're welcome. TM. Copyright. So yeah, I mean that's scary, right? As millennials, stranger danger was pushed on us so hard, dude. I stop, drop, and roll like I'm on fire when someone knocks on my door. Because why the fuck are you knocking? Text me like a normal person. Gonna give me a panic attack. All right, on to the next legend. Lawrence is being very quiet, or Brandon, I guess. Are you Brandon now? Did we change your name? All right, so that was a little cozy home story. Home alone, 3 knocks, just don't answer. Now for this next one, I want you to imagine that you're outside. I know, we're visualizing today. Okay, just do it. You're walking home alone at night. Not super late, just late enough that the streets are quiet. Streetlights are flickering, footsteps echoing a little louder than usual. And then you turn around and you see her, a woman, standing still, wearing a surgical mask. I may very well fuck up this name, and I'm so sorry if I do, but the woman in the surgical mask is known as Kuchisake-Onna, and she has roots that go back centuries, with stories of women becoming disfigured due to cruel treatment or simply just being born that way. And those women are seeking revenge. But what's fascinating is how this legend resurfaced in the late 1970s, not just as a story, but as panic. Children in Japan began reporting being approached by a woman in a surgical mask on their way home from school. And the kids would run to their teachers or they would run to their families and start crying, saying that this scary woman approached them and she had scissors. So school started sending kids home in groups. Parents escorted them to and from school, and police were even alerted. This wasn't just something whispered, it was something people really reacted to. Because this woman in the mask would approach these children, when they were alone and vulnerable walking home from school, and she looked pretty normal. She was well dressed, calm, she wasn't erratic in any way, but she always wore a surgical mask, which wasn't unusual at the time, and it still isn't. But what was unusual is how she would speak to the kids. She would ask them, "Am I beautiful?" And if the child said no, she would attack them. And if they said yes, she would slowly remove the mask, revealing a mouth cut from ear to ear. And she would ask again, "How about now?" And then, do you know what she did to those kids who called her beautiful? She would slit their mouths so that it would appear like hers. Yeah, she'd cut their mouth from ear to ear. And then the kids who said no, do you want to know how they were attacked? Do you want to know? I'm sure you do because you're here. She would cut them in half. I know. This urban legend is on another level. This is wild. So these poor children, like there's no getting out of this one. It's terrifying either way. You say no, she attacks you. You say yes, she shows you her scary face and then slices you right across the face like Joker 2. So either way, you're fucked. And she's usually holding scissors. So that makes it like 10 times more scary. I don't like that at all. And I also really hate that she's just targeting kids asking if she's pretty. That's very weird. I don't like any paranormal, anything that targets kids. Get a life, bro. Go hunt a grown up. Just also poor audience choice. Poor audience choice. Okay. Kids will either hype you up all day and tell you that you're a Disney princess, or they will completely ruin your day if you ask how you look. Okay. Don't do that. But in this case, it just sucks all around because even if you're the biggest brown noser on the planet and you're like, "You're so pretty," she's still going to show you her fucked up face. And I don't like it. I don't like it one bit. And just like in the first story, in my research, I came across an encounter that somebody had with this woman, Kuchisake-Onna. So this person, it was a Facebook post under a paranormal group that I belong to, who said that they experienced something very similar while living in Japan. They wrote, quote, "It was 2011 and I was walking home from the train station. It wasn't that late, maybe around 10:30. I saw a woman standing near a vending machine. She was wearing a mask, which isn't unusual here, but something felt off. She was just standing there. As I walked past her, she turned toward me and said something. I didn't hear her clearly, so I stopped. She asked again, and this time I heard her. She said, quote, 'Am I beautiful?' End quote. I laughed a little because I thought it was just super awkward. Why would you just walk up to somebody and ask that? So I said, yes. I didn't want to be rude. And that's when she tilted her head and took a step closer. And I noticed what she was holding. It looked like scissors. I didn't wait. Run, he said. When the ghost is telling you to run, you better fucking run. Okay? Lawrence Brandon does not approve, does not like it. Oh God, I would probably run too. They said, when I noticed what she was holding, it looked like scissors. I didn't wait for anything else. I just said I was in a hurry and I kept walking. I am an American in a foreign country, and this doesn't seem customary, but what the fuck do I know? I'm American. Still, though, this didn't seem like normal behavior. I didn't run, but I walked fast away from her, and I had this overwhelming feeling that if I turned around, she would be right behind me. So I kept going and going and going until finally I lost her. It wasn't until a few days later when a coworker told me the story of Kuchisake-Onna, and I realized that it matched her description to a T. I forget how we got on the topic exactly. I know we had been discussing horror movies and how The Ring fucked me up as a kid, so I think that's how. But either way, I'm glad I said yes. But should I have just not engaged at all? She had scissors. What would you guys have done in this situation? And has anyone else ever experienced Kuchisake-Onna? End quote. Okay, guys, so when I saw that story, I was like, what the fuck did I just read? What did I just read? So I looked into it a little further. And yeah, this is like some deep, deep lore. And to me, like what makes this legend so effectively scary is that it traps you in something that we're all conditioned to do, which is be polite, right? Like you're trying to respond, you're trying to engage and just like be nice to someone so they'll go away. But every answer pulls you in further, and there's no right choice. There's only delay. The rule for this one, because remember, I said they all have rules. This rule is just don't engage. Just like the first one, don't even give it any attention. Don't say yes, don't say no, don't even look at her. If I'm ever in Japan, which hopefully one day I'll get to go there, I would love to go to Japan. I want to go to Thailand. I want to go to China. I want to go to Vietnam. I want to go everywhere. Okay, everywhere, especially for the food. Oh my God, do I love their food? But this one is it's hard. I mean, if I saw the scissors right away, I probably would not engage like at all. But if I didn't, and I just thought it was a lonely person, so this one's just like a catch-22. Like Bloody Mary, you can choose to just not participate, right? Like you can just not do it.
All right, Gooligans, quick hydration check. Are you drinking enough water or are you running on caffeine vibes and unresolved trauma? Because most of us rush through our day just trying to survive, and before we know it, it's 5 p.m. and we've had 3 cups of coffee and maybe one very sad glass of water. Bobby Boucher would not approve. Dehydration can cause migraines, fatigue, and even make you ornery. And as Mama always says, people are ornery because they got all them waters and no electrolytes, just like alligators. And that's where Water Boy hydration packets come in. You just dump one of those bad boys into your water, and suddenly you've got some high quality H2O. They are sugar free. And the best part, they've got flavors for every situation: strawberry lemonade for daily hydration, blue raspberry for post workout recovery, and weekend recovery packs for when life hits you like a linebacker from the Bourbon Bowl. But if you're not sure which one to start with, grab the sampler pack and try them all. You don't need to be dehydrated. And you don't need to be ornery. Water doesn't have to suck. In fact, Waterboy hydration packs will help your medulla oblongata. Head to the link in the show notes and grab your favorite flavor so you can hydrate all day long.
There are some urban legends that you're like, okay, well, I wouldn't be in that situation, so it's fine. But obviously, things like this, you have absolutely no control over, which makes it even scarier. Kind of like the one, do you guys remember that one urban legend with the babysitter? Not the one with the phone call. We all know the when a stranger calls one, but I'm talking about specifically the clown one. Do you guys remember that? It was the story of a babysitter. The kid was asleep upstairs, and she went upstairs to check on the kid just to make sure that, they're sleeping soundly and they're safe. And she ends up seeing this really creepy clown statue in the room. It's like very realistic. And then the parents end up calling and they're like, "Hey, how's my little angel? How's so and so?" And the babysitter's like, "Oh, they're good, but I really don't like that clown statue in their room. That's super creepy. Like, why would you have that in there?" And the parents are like, "We don't have a clown statue in that room. We don't have a clown statue anywhere." They're like, "You need to get out. Get the kid and get out." And it ended up just being this man dressed as a clown hiding in the room, like waiting to do something terrible to the child and the babysitter. So yeah, that's what I grew up hearing. And anytime I babysat, I was like, better not see any clowns in here. I already hate clowns. I hate them so much. So that story really, really affected me. But I know some of you guys remember that story. I know you do. But there are some urban legends that they thrive on responses. Some things need you to answer, and then some things want you to follow them. Which brings us to our next legend, and of course, more visualization. Okay. So now imagine you're not in your house anymore. You're not on a street with lights. You are in the woods for some reason. Maybe you're camping or you're hiking with a trusted friend or partner. But these aren't any old woods. These are the kind of woods where everything feels louder: the snap of a branch, the wind through the trees, the strange silence when everything just stops. And that's when it happens. You hear your name, very soft, very familiar, from somewhere in the trees. You've heard this story. You know the lore. But is it real? Is it in your head? Or is this something unexplainable? If this made you think of the Wendigo, then my friend, you have just guessed our next legend. The term Wendigo comes from the Algonquian traditions, and it's important to understand that it's not just a monster and it's not just a legend. It's a warning. It's a spiritual concept tied to greed, starvation, and losing your humanity. In traditional belief, the Wendigo isn't just something you encounter. It's something that a person can become. Someone pushed far enough by hunger, isolation, desperation, becomes something hollow, something that consumes but is never full. And in modern retellings, it doesn't just hunt, it mimics. Descriptions vary. Some depict a giant, emaciated, ice hearted humanoid with glowing eyes and decaying flesh. Others emphasize its spiritual and corporal nature. It's said to grow proportionally to its consumption, making it perpetually hungry and incomplete. The Wendigo's appetite and supernatural strength mark it as a warning against gluttony and greed. The cultural interpretation of the Wendigo serves as more of a moral and social warning within the Algonquian traditions, reinforcing community ethics around sharing and restraint. In modern context, it's been reinterpreted in literature, film, and television as like a horror archetype. It symbolizes consumerism or environmental destruction, diverging from its traditional indigenous meanings. So most of us know what a Wendigo is. I mean, we've heard the stories, we've heard the lore. So what's said to happen if you do engage with a Wendigo? Well, number one, you could get lured deeper into the woods. It mimics voices. It sounds like your friends or your family, and it's meant to pull you away from safety. Number two, you disappear or you're killed. In many stories, people who follow the voices are never found again. And number three, you risk becoming one. In older beliefs, specifically tied to starvation and isolation, encountering or succumbing to the Wendigo can lead to transformation, losing your humanity and becoming driven by endless hunger. But the deeper fear is it's not that it's just a creature, it represents losing control of yourself. So engaging with it is equal to stepping into that potential loss. I do not vibe with anything that can sound like a loved one. I don't like any of that shit. And then, oh, there's one in India too. I think it's in India where, people put something on their doors. I'll have to look into it. Maybe I'll do an episode about it. But people put something on their doors because at night they hear voices and it doesn't stop. It's just like every single night in this one village, it targets people trying to lure them outside by using a familiar voice. It's very scary. So yeah, I don't like that. And I didn't really have to dig much for stories about this legend because, well, it's very common. People have encounters that they believe to be this very creature. I saw a post from someone who went camping near the town of Kenora in Canada. And this one feels way too real for me because if you know anything about the Wendigo, you know that it's mostly North America where people have these experiences, particularly up in Canada and Appalachia. So when I saw that this person was in Kenora, I was like, where's Kenora? And I looked it up. It's not like super close, but it doesn't seem to be too far from where the supposed Cave of the Wendigo is in Ontario. The Cave of the Wendigo is a legendary rock crevice and it's located on the shores of one of their lakes in Ontario. I think it's Mamigwes is how you pronounce it. I'm not sure. Mamigwes? But this site, it carries some very deep cultural significance as the traditional home of the powerful and feared feral spirits. And according to legend, you have to navigate the rocky shoreline by boat or by kayak to reach this secluded and mysterious destination. It's said to have like a very narrow granite opening, and you can climb in and explore the interior of the cavern. But I don't know a whole lot of people who would want to actually go in there willingly. Inside the cave, it's supposed to be very silent and cold and creepy. Now, of course, this is just it's lore. I don't actually know anyone who's gone to the cave of the Wendigo, and why you would want to go in there, I'm not really sure. I mean, you guys know I love ghost hunting. I love all of that stuff, but I'm not going to actively seek out something like a Wendigo. That's like a death wish. I don't know. That's just not something I would do. So, anyways, this post that I saw came from someone who went camping near the town of Kenora, like I said, in Canada. And they wrote, quote, I went camping with my buddy a few weeks ago, and I think I may have encountered a Wendigo. I never believed in that shit until now. Can someone tell me, was this what I experienced? So my buddy Seth and I were camping pretty deep in the woods. I'm from a town called Kenora, so I grew up hearing the lore, but never experienced anything in my 19 years. So, of course, I thought it was all just a bunch of baloney. Seth and I had set up camp, and it was very peaceful. No service, no nearby campsites. After getting things set up and eating dinner, we played some card games and went to sleep. But around 2 a.m., I woke up because I heard something moving outside the tent. But it didn't sound exactly like human footsteps. It was like something trying to move like a person, but not quite getting it right. Then I heard a voice. It said my name. Lyndon. It said. It was quiet, like someone trying not to wake anyone else up. The thing is, it sounded exactly like my friend, but he was asleep next to me. And like I said, there were no other campers nearby, and no one I know would be doing this shit at 2 a.m. Still, though, I almost answered. I even opened my mouth to say, "What?" But something stopped me. The voice said my name again. Lyndon. This time, more persistent. I didn't respond. I didn't move. I just sat there, frozen. Eventually, it stopped, but I didn't sleep the rest of the night. The next morning, I checked outside the tent, waiting, of course, until the sun was up for a bit, and there were no footprints outside the tent. There was no sign of any other campers for miles. So tell me, please, was this a Wendigo? And do I need to be worried? Is something going to happen to my soul? End quote. So this post really gave me chills because this is something that listeners submit to me all the time. I get so many stories about SWs, Wendigo encounters, weird voices that mimic people's loved ones or friends or even themselves. It sounds like their voice. So that is something that I think way too many people have experienced, and I definitely think they're real. And I mean, I grew up hearing about this stuff. My dad was the one who first told me about SWs. He actually grew up for a little bit on the reservation. He was military, and they were in Kayenta, Arizona. And I think that's where he first heard those tales. And the Native Americans in Kayenta were very adamant about, like, you do not turn around if you think you're being followed. You do not answer if someone calls your name. My dad basically told me one time we were hiking and it was really cool. I forget where we were, but we went on just like a little weekend adventure. My dad loved to go hiking and camping and fishing. And he took us to these cliff dwellings. And I want to say it was here in Arizona, but there were these beautiful cliff dwellings and amazing petroglyphs. Like it's just makes you feel like you're stepping into another world almost, and you're going back in time. My dad loves that kind of stuff. That's why I'm obsessed with history, I think, is because of him. But also because of my dad, I know about SWs. And I remember that is the trip when I learned about what those were because we were walking and my dad was like, "Hey, just so you're aware, if you're ever out, in the wilderness and you feel like something's following you, don't turn around. Like, don't even acknowledge it. You need to keep going." And at the time, I think I was probably like 11. I was like, okay, I don't, all right. And I never have. But those are the legends that get me. And I fully believe them. I do not fuck with any kind of Native American folklore. They were here first. They know better than me. So that's how I feel about that. As far as this guy goes, though, he was like, should I be worried about my soul? I don't think he had anything to worry about, right? He didn't engage. So I think he's probably fine. But something about the forest and hearing your name just terrifies me, like full body chills. That one really makes me uneasy because it doesn't chase you, it doesn't announce itself, it uses what you trust. And once you respond, you've already made a mistake. Like if you hear your name in the woods, just don't fucking answer. Don't follow it. Don't go looking. If it's truly someone who needs your attention, they'll come find you. They'll come get you. Follow the rules of urban legends and you'll probably be fine. But there are some urban legends that you can't outrun and you can't ignore because some of them don't need an invitation. They're already there, just waiting for their moment. Which brings us to our final urban legend of the day. And this is one you cannot escape because you would already be in bed, the one place you're supposed to feel safe. And you do feel safe until you wake up and you realize you can't move. Your eyes are open, but your body doesn't respond. Your chest starts to feel heavy. Your arms are stiff and immobile, and your voice is completely gone. And that's when you feel it. Wait. There's something on your chest. Now, this story might sound like sleep paralysis, but that's not what it is. And it is definitely a warning. I came across this one on the sleep paralysis subreddit. I came across this actually a while ago, and I decided to include it in this episode. So this Redditor wrote, quote, I've had sleep paralysis before, my whole life, in fact. So I know what it feels like. But this was different. This was not sleep paralysis. About 2 nights ago, I woke up and I couldn't move, which I expected. But immediately, something felt different. I felt like someone was in the room with me. And this doesn't happen often during my paralysis. It's more just that I can't move. And if I do see my sleep paralysis demon, he's just hanging out. This was not him, and it was not just a feeling. This was a strong presence, like someone standing right next to my bed. I could feel their energy, and then I felt something. The mattress dipped, like someone sat down next to me. And that's when the pressure started. It was like an elephant sitting on my chest. And suddenly, I heard breathing right next to my face. Slow, controlled, hot breath. And I had this overwhelming feeling that I knew I was awake. So I stopped.
Careful.
Oh, that's a totally different voice. Hold on, I didn't even change the voice.
Listen to me.
Okay, I'm listening. That scared the crap out of me.
Pathetic.
Oh, well, that's rude. That it's not pathetic that I got scared. That was loud, and you haven't talked for a long time, and your voice changed. I didn't even change the voice. You're supposed to have a dude's voice on GhostTube. That's so scary. I didn't even. Yes. So you're agreeing? You're agreeing that it's scary.
Success.
Oh my God. So you were trying to scare me? That's rude. Where was I? That really scared me. And I had this overwhelming feeling that I knew I was awake. So I stopped trying to move. I slowed my breathing, pretending I was still asleep. After a while, the pressure lifted, and I still didn't open my eyes. I just stayed there. The worst part is, this has happened more than once. Now, it's worth noting that I'm Turkish. I don't live there, but my extended family does. I moved to the US with my mom and her boyfriend when I was around 6 years old, so I consider the US my home. However, Turkish folklore is not unbeknownst to me, and when this happened the first time, I knew who it was. Karabasan. Now, let me be abundantly clear. This is not a condition. This is an entity, something that pins you down, watches you, and feeds on your every fear. And according to some beliefs, it returns to the same person again and again. And lucky me, this is the third time in the last 6 months. Each time I've had to remember the rules. If it happens, don't fight it. Don't react. Don't acknowledge it. Don't let it know you're awake. This is not Santa. This is something else. This was Karabasan. End quote. Again, hope I'm saying that correctly, but that sounds really terrifying. I don't fuck with no sleep paralysis demons, and I don't want no Karabasan in my house. I cherish sleep so much. I love sleep. This would fuck me up for life. For life. I just could not. You're breathing your hot, nasty demon breath in my face, and I'm trying to sleep. No, no. And the worst part is that if this is like a sleep paralysis situation, it doesn't matter where you are. It doesn't matter if you move. It doesn't matter if you're in a hotel. It doesn't matter if you're on vacation because it's just going to follow you. It follows the same person. So after reading this, I, of course, had to look more into the lore. And Karabasan, whose name means, quote, the dark presser, already a big no, is often linked to sleep paralysis, but people report it while feeling fully awake as well. This entity pins you down, whispers or breathes near your face. No, thank you. And feeds on your fear, which anytime I hear that, all I picture is like Hocus Pocus when they're sucking the lives out of the children. Like it's just slurping up your soul. That's what I picture. I don't know. But some people insist that this entity returns to the same person repeatedly. but it's not sleep paralysis. It's known in Turkish folklore as a very specific entity, and it's not taken lightly. People who experience this need to remember not to engage. It knows when you're awake, like they said, like Santa, except the only gifts it gives you are wet bed sheets and trauma. And it's terrifying because it removes your last safe space, your bed. And in rural Anatolia, Karabasan episodes were interpreted as spiritual afflictions rather than medical phenomena. Protective rituals included reciting verses from the Quran, keeping the lights on, or placing metal objects near the bed to ward off the spirit. Why metal? I don't know. I couldn't figure that out. But the experience often served as a moral or a spiritual warning, reflecting beliefs about purity, prayer, and protection. So, whatever that means. In a modern day understanding, Karabasan today is widely recognized as a folkloric interpretation of sleep paralysis. However, the actual image of Karabasan endures in Turkish popular culture. It's in their literature, it's in their media, and it's a symbol of unseen terror and the blurred line between dream and waking life. And again, just like the others, you are under no circumstances to ever engage. And here, engaging means something a little different. It means reacting, trying to fight it, or letting it know you're awake. You have to just literally lay there. You just pretend you're asleep, don't do anything. So what's said to happen if you do react and engage? One, the experience intensifies. People report stronger pressure, closer presence, louder breathing, or clearer visuals of the actual entity. Two, it stays longer. Instead of passing quickly like a typical sleep paralysis, it just lingers for God knows how long. And three, it returns more frequently. In folklore, once it knows you, it's going to come back again and again and again to get to know all your deepest fears. So, the key belief here is that it feeds on awareness and fear. So, if you're in a panic or you react in any way, you're essentially just giving it what it wants. I had never heard of any of these urban legends before, except for, the Wendigo. And honestly, I don't see these as urban legends. I see these as warnings about interacting with other realms and uninvited guests. And these stories serve as cultural reminders of what can happen if you blur those lines. And I mean, I truly, I don't want anyone whispering in my ear or breathing near my face. That's bullshit. Stay out of my sleeping space. Ugh. Which one of these did you guys find to be the scariest? I think that Kuchisake-Onna is pretty terrifying because no matter what you do, you're fucked. I think of the Black Dahlia, with the mouth slit from ear to ear. I I don't like it. But which one did you guys find to be the most interesting or the scariest? Let me know. I truly hope you enjoyed this spooky episode. If you did, be sure to subscribe to the podcast so you never miss a new episode. Leave a review, share it with a friend who loves all things true crime and paranormal. And be sure to tune in this Friday for this month's Booze Clues. Because, yes, even though it's April Booze Clues, it's going to be on Friday, which is technically May. I know that. So, yeah, be sure to check out the It's Gonna Be May Booze Clues. And on that note, just don't get haunted by anything. And if you do,
Possessed. Only for you.
I don't know if I should feel flattered. What was that?
She's not here.
Okay. All right. We're going to get going now. What is happening? It really just said possessed when I said haunted, like it corrected me. And on that note, as always,
Stupid.
that was rude. That was rude. On that note, I will see you guys next time. And as always, remember to trust. Oh, please tell me you guys heard that. Oh my God. My TV was off. Did you guys hear the dun dun? It was off and Netflix just turned on. I need a video podcast. Holy shit. I need to be able to videotape this. Maybe I should just start because this is getting wild. And you know what? It's because I'm acknowledging it. I'm all, don't acknowledge, don't engage. And here I am making things worse. But you know what? Brandon, Lawrence, they don't do anything bad. So it's fine. Like this, we can share the space. It's fine. All right. Well, this has been the longest ending ever and the weirdest ending ever. I really wish you guys were around to see this. But until I have video available, that won't happen. Maybe Lawrence Brandon will do something for the Booze Clues TikTok. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. All right, you guys, that's all I have for you today. Be good humans and remember to trust your lizard brain. Until next time, goodbye.